Hi, this is the Draw My Life of Phillis Wheatley. This is a short presentation that will teach you about the life and work of one of America's most famous African American poets. My name is Mark Picard, and I hope you enjoy this Draw My Life of Phillis Wheatley. Phillis Wheatley was a slave. Kind of. She was also the daughter of a white man. Adopted daughter. She was born in Senegal. That is where she grew up until the age of 7. There, she was taken from her home and family and forced onto a slave ship, the Phillis. She then arrived in the United States of America ready to be purchased. However, she was scrawny and nobody wanted her until Susanna Wheatley adopted her. Susanna Wheatley brought her to the house of her husband, John Wheatley. She became their slave and was forced to take care of all the chores, but they also treated her as a daughter. You see, the Wheatley family had just lost their daughter who was around Phillis's age. They were looking for someone to fill in their lost daughter's shoes, and they chose Phillis. She was educated, taught how to read, and taught how to write. And boy, did she write. She wrote poetry. After learning from the books that she could read, she developed a talent in writing. This surprised people. Nobody thought a slave could be smart enough to actually write. So, she was tested by her father and his associates. She passed their tests and proved herself to be human. That being said, nobody was willing to publish her poems in America. England, in an act to admonish American slavery, welcomed her poems, and she became a published poet in London. She continued to be well received in England and earned many patrons. She became a poetry celebrity in London and eventually published her first poetry book, the first one ever made by an African American. This eventually brought her fame in the colonies where she grew up. Prominent figures such as George Washington even praised her writing. Eventually, her adopted parents even decided to emancipate her. That is, they let her be her own person, and she was no longer considered a slave, not property. However, because of severe asthma, she died an early death at the age of 31. Let's look at one of her poems found on the Poetry Foundation, titled, "To a Gentleman and Lady on the Death of the Lady's Brother and Sister and a Child of the Name Avis aged 1 year. I know, long title. I'd like you to read the poem for a moment and then answer a short reflection on it. Take the time to actually read and understand the poem as best you can, and then answer the reflection question. This shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, so pause the video and take more time to read it if you need. Now that you've read the poem, please take a minute to answer this prompt. You can rewind the video and hear the stories of Phillis Wheatley again, or you can go back and reread the poem. Answering this prompt should only take 10 to 15 minutes. I've been Mark Picard, and thank you for watching this Draw My Life of Phillis Wheatley. I hope you learned a little something.